Cemetery Man, also known as Dellamorte Dellamore, is the 1994 Italian film directed by Michele Soave. It is actually based off of the novel written by Tiziano Sclave, who actually happens to be the writer of Dylan Dog. Ironically, the title character of Dylan Dog claims to be a Rupert Everett lookalike, which is ironic because Rupert Everett stars in the film. He is the title character Francesco Dellamorte. He basically is a groundskeeper, looks after, takes care of the cemetery, basically just keeps the dead from overrunning the town. Theoretically, before the 7th night of internment, they rise and basically just become zombies, so it is his duty to keep them grounded. So basically during the day, he looks after the cemetery, does all of the maintenance work, makes sure everything looks clean and proper, and just kills and plants zombies at night. So the film does co-star Anna Falche, who began her career as a model. She later did a commercial for an Italian bank, which basically did start off her acting career. She luckily landed several film roles after that. Her career just basically took off. Became a very popular television personality. Unfortunately, for English-speaking countries, only know her as She from The Cemetery Man or Dellamorte Dellamore. The film also loosely, no pun intended, co-stars Anna Falche, who is basically just credited as She. Dellamorte meets up with She at a funeral. She's attending the funeral of her dead, rich, elderly husband. And it's basically love at first sight. He, falls madly head over heels for this girl and has to find some way to get close to her. Eventually, when they do manage to get together, unfortunately, they decide to make their relationship public to her deceased husband. Definitely gives a whole new meaning to Peep Show. The husband basically just rises from the dead, her or she, assuming that he is angry, tries to explain and just kind of ask forgiveness. Of course, he's a zombie, bites her. She dies from fright, and Dellamorte, just assuming that it was the zombie bite that killed her, looks over her grave, just hoping she will not return as one of the zombies, which he has to put down on occasion. She does rise and does try to speak and rekindle the relationship. Of course, he, assuming she is a zombie, refuses to look, does not look at her, and shoots her dead. Later, when she does rise a second time, he realizes that she actually was not dead, and he really did kill her the first time, and which would explain why she did come back as a zombie when she rose the second time. She's definitely no Lazarus. So Nagi, who is basically his assistant, does keep him company. They look over the grounds. Also during this time when Dellamorte is just basically heartbroken, very depressed, Nagi starts up a relationship with a decapitated head of the woman that he loved shortly before she died, and it's just a very innocent puppy love, which ironically just seems to rub the whole matter in Dellamorte's face, the fact that he wants love and he's constantly surrounded by death. So as he does slip into his depression, he actually does begin to see images of death, who begins to pursue him and ask him to kill the living. If he doesn't want to deal with the dead rising and having to deal with killing them, then the best thing to do is just to kill them while they're dead in order to avoid them rising, which is kind of confusing logic, but if you're deaf, it keeps you in business, so why not? Dellamorte does, throughout the film, run across different visions of the same woman, and they all end tragically. At one point, she is a woman who is terrified of sex and, masculinity, quote unquote. She is later raped by the mayor, who is her boss. She gets over her fear and decides to marry him Of course, Dellamorte lying that he was impotent just so he could have a relationship, winds up losing her again. He also once later again runs across her, or a different vision or version of her, as a prostitute. He's obviously cured of his impotence, but as it is not real love, he sets her aflame with a space heater. The title of the film itself is just very interesting, of love, of death, although of course I translated that backwards, but whatever. It does definitely offer various speculations, aside from the fact that Dellamorte himself does try to pursue love, ironically in all the wrong places, and just constantly is surrounded by death. And he literally lives in a cemetery and cannot find a decent love. When he does try to leave the small Italian town, he basically just runs across a torn up or no longer existent road, and he's basically just trapped. So it's just a very ironic, very strange, endless cycle. It definitely does give the viewer a lot to think about if you're willing to take the time to sit and analyze it. But that is pretty much all I have for you today, and I will see you when I see you.